Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to walk through a topic that's key for anyone embarking on a research journey: how to write a comprehensive proposal or a protocol. So, whether you're a student, a researcher, or just curious about the process, this video will give you step-by-step guide through everything that you need to know. So, grab a notebook, settle in, and let's get started. First things first, what is a research proposal? A research proposal is essentially a plan for your research. It explains what you intend to study, why it's important, how you plan to do it, what are your expectations to achieve it. So you can think it of as a blueprint for your research project. Something that keeps you organized and convinces others, like the supervisors, the ethics committee, or the funding bodies, that your study is worth producing. Now, this document helps you clarify your thoughts, get feedback, and ensure that you are on the right track from the start. Now, let's quickly get into the sections one by one of the research proposal. So first is the title, and title is the first impression. So the title should be clear, concise, and specific. You want it to tell people exactly what is your research is about. For example, instead of something vague like AI in education, a more specific title could be exploring the impact of AI on student education in higher settings. Yeah, something like this. Then try to keep it focused, avoid any jargons or technical terms, and make sure it highlights the key elements of your research. Let's move on to the section number 2, which is the introduction, and it includes the need for the study. So, in introduction, you explain what your study is about and why it's important. So, start by discussing the background of your topic. Why is this area of research worth exploring? So, you might talk about the current challenges, the trends, or the societal needs related to your topic. And this is your chance to capture the reader's interest. Then, in the need for the study section, you must talk about why your study is needed now. So, what gap in the research you are filling? What problems are you solving? Use data, reports, existing literature, or real world examples to justify the urgency or importance of your research. So, basically, make the introduction compelling. Moving on to the further section, which is the review of literature. And I like to call it what's already been done section, because this is where you show that you've done your homework. And you need to summarize the key studies that have already been done in your field, showing the progression of the research and where the gaps are. For example, if your research is about AI in education, you could talk about previous studies that have explored AI's impact on learning outcomes, but highlight that no one has focused on student engagement yet. And that's where your research comes in. So, the goal of the review of literature section is to show how your study fits into the existing body of knowledge and how it will build on or challenge the current findings. Okay. Now, the next very important section, which is the research question or the objectives, and this is the heart of your proposal. So, this is where you include specific questions that your study will answer. So, they should be clear, focused, and directly linked to your overall research goal. Say, for the example, we're talking about how does AI affect student engagement in higher education, and what are the barriers to implementing AI in classrooms. So something like this. And if you're working on a broader project, break it down into few focused questions or objectives. So because that makes it easier for others to understand, what you are aiming to achieve, and also keeps your research targeted. Next section is the methodology section. And this is where you are going to explain how you are planning or proposing to conduct your research. This section is crucial as it outlines the plan of how you will collect and how you will analyze your data. And here you need to discuss participants, like who will be the participants in your study, the population that you want to study. Will you be interviewing students, or do you be doing surveys and analyzing secondary data or whatever? So what is the participants or the population that you will study? What are the data collection methods that you will use, whether you'll be using questionnaires or observations or experiments or interviews. Yeah. And here you would also want to talk about sampling methods and sampling strategy that you will include while doing the data collection. And in the proposal, you will also have to present how you are planning to analyze the data. So whether you will be using qualitative methods and or thematic analysis, or a quantitative method, you will through statistical tests. And in the entire section, it is very important to justify your choices. So try to justify and be clear of what you want and be specific so that you are able to justify your choices. So this way, if someone wants to replicate your study, they would know how to do it. So try to be really specific and detailed. Now let's move on to the next section of the research proposal, which is the ethical considerations. And this is one of the often overlooked sections, I would say. So if your research involves human participants, sensitive data, or even animals, you need to ensure that your study is ethically sound. Now, this might include getting informed consents from the participants, protecting their privacy, and making sure that your research does no harm. So, in the ethical considerations section, be sure how you will gain that ethical approval from the relevant bodies. And this is specifically very important for social sciences, health, or education research. So, where people's data and personal stories are involved. Next section is where you want to highlight what are the significance of your work or what are the expected outcomes. So in this section, you share what you expect to achieve, or how you want you see your research turning up. So are you hoping to uncover new insights? Are you hoping to develop a framework, or you are trying to find a solution to a problem? And don't forget the significance. Like why your outcomes matter. How will your findings contribute to the field? Or whether are you solving a pressing issue? So you want to show that to the funding bodies and to the supervisor that your research will have an impact, either academically or practically or on a global level. Next important heading is the feasibility or the timelines. So some proposals, especially once you are applying for funding and all, they require timelines from you and feasibility sections. So this is where you show how realistic your research plan is. And a timeline, it helps to map out the various stages of research from data collection to data analysis. So you will have to break it down into months or weeks and then show how and when each task will be completed. This shows the readers or the evaluators that you have planned your work carefully, and you will be able to finish that research in the given time frame with the availability of resources that you have or that you want. And here talking about the budget in case you want for funding, so how much budget would need to be allocated for that work will also be need a mention here. Now the next question and the last section of your proposals include the bibliography or the references, where you want to list all the sources you have mentioned in the literature review and introduction section and other works that have informed you to make your proposal. Make sure that you follow any particular referencing style. We can go for APA, MLA, or any other format that is required by your institution or the funding body. And here, one more important section, which is optional, but then is important, is the limitation section. So every researcher has its limitations, and it's completely normal. So in this section, you if you want, you can acknowledge the potential limitations of your study. Something like you're working with a small sample size, or perhaps you have time constraints, or there are factors which are beyond your control, like maybe participant availability or data quality. So when you talk about this in the limitation sections of your proposal, it shows that you have carefully considered the study design, and you are aware that maybe you will face the challenges that you might have. So that is a way of providing uh, more emphasis on to the readers or to the funders that you know what you want to do, right? And that's all about writing a research proposal. I know that writing it seems daunting, but when you break it down into step by step, it becomes clear and a manageable process. So, to recap, the title, the introduction and the need of the study, the review of literature, research questions or objectives, methodology, ethical considerations, expected outcomes, feasibility, bibliography or the references, and limitations, if any. If you follow these steps, you will be on your way to creating a strong research proposal that gets attention. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and drop in any questions in the comments below. Best of luck with your research writing. Thank you.